Hello everyone and welcome to Artistry Design's first video. For this channel, we will be exploring the different ways and styles of creating art and hopefully brush up on some of your techniques. I'm hoping to not only interest new artists into beginning some simple painting styles, but I'm also very interested in helping some experienced artists develop new skills that they may find useful. Now, we're going to start with our supplies for today. First and foremost, we have our canvas. Simple canvas, nothing too special. You can get them from any dollar store or Walmart around you. For today's paints, we're using the three most simple colors we can find, which is the primary colors of art. We have yellow, blue, and red. Now these paints came from Walmart, and they're only $1, so this is a very affordable hobby. And it really doesn't matter what kind of materials you start with, it just matters of your passion and skill, and that's what I'm really trying to imply in this, is that this can be a hobby for anyone. So we're starting with our first three colors, and we're going to try to make just a really basic sunset painting. Something that's just nice and simple. Please ignore the cats meowing in the background. Something really nice and simple, and with the most three basic colors we can find. You're also going to need something to put your paint on. I have this paint palette and some water to wash up your brush. Mine's kind of dirty. I'd prefer clean water if I was you, but old habits. And then probably some sort of paper towel to dry your wet brush with. Now, of course, you're going to need brushes to start with. So what we're going to start with first is you're going to take your palette. Simple palette. It doesn't have to be exactly like this one. Anything to put paint on. You could even use a recycled paper plate. So we're going to take just about a quarter size amount of paint for each. And you're just going to squeeze it onto your palette. For mine, I only have to fill up about one square. I'm going to get all these nice and filled up. Ignore my little kitty cat scratching under the table. And then we are going to start our painting. So for your first brush, I would recommend something flat and rectangular, such as this brush here. Just a nice big brush to where we can cover the majority of our canvas with one go. Now, for our sunset painting, we're going to be using some reds, oranges, and yellows for the actual sunset. And we are also going to be mixing these paints in order to create the orange. So, basic primary school lessons, yellow and red makes orange. So you're going to take some of your yellow, put it here, some of your red, and you have orange. Now, later in our series, we will be using those actual colors. But for the start of this channel, I just really wanted to show you that anything can be made from these three simple colors. A piece of art so complex only truly needs three basic colors. So we're going to start with our red paint for the top part of our canvas, because that's going to be the darkest hue of the sunset. So I recommend, if you have a flat canvas like I do, something to lay under your canvas. For me, I will be using this lovely little sheet right here. And it will get dirty, so don't use something that you're not prepared to either wash or do away with at the end of this video. So, we are going to start with our red paint. And what you're going to do is you are going to start at the top with your brush, nice and ready. Get a good bit of paint on there at first. And you're just going to start swashing through. We're just going to get a good, even layer going for the top of this painting. And you're just having this back and forth brush technique. Just back and forth. And you're going to do that until you get a nice, decent covering of red on the top of your canvas. This might take a few layers, but that's okay. That's completely normal. And we're starting off with the most basic tutorials we can for the beginning. Something that anybody can do and enjoy. So we're just going to cover our canvas with this nice, deep red paint. If it falls off the sides a bit, that's okay. Just scoop it up off the edges and just keep doing that until you have this nice top shade like this. So now that we have our top shade, we're going to make sure that the paint here at the bottom is nice and fresh, because this paint does dry relatively quickly compared to other paints, but that's okay. So we're going to take our yellow after that we've seen mixes and makes this orange color. And you're just going to be bold and go right through the middle of that. It'll work out, I promise. We're going right through the middle of this red sunset painting. Same exact technique. You're just going back and forward. And you can see here that it's giving us this nice, even orange color blending through. It's really creating a beautiful gradient between this orange and what will be our yellow and the red. So as you can see, we have this nice orange kind of fading into the red. Really pretty. Super simple. It only took a few seconds to do that. We're going to go back for some more of our yellow paint. And we're going to, not this time directly in the middle, we're going to start slightly under this. And we're just going to go through, and then after you have it at this point, then you're going to start brushing into that orange. Just gentle back and forth strokes like you've been doing the whole time. Don't go too far up into your orange, just enough to mix in that yellow. And you'll have to get some more as you go. Do the same thing on this side, start down here, and just gently mix up into that orange. And what we're seeing here is that it's creating a really nice, even sunset color with only those the two colors actually right now, but orange included. To even that out, you're going to go back, get just a little bit more yellow, and start down here at the bottom to make it really light. Have that nice, even shade. Technical difficulties, as to be expected. Get just a bit more yellow, and we're just going to keep going back for this yellow until we have a nice color that we like right down here. A nice, bright, yellowish orange layer. And just like that, you have a beautiful sunset gradient. Blended in, nice and even. You've got your red going into your orange, and then your yellow. So now what we're going to do is we're going to lay this down I'm going to move my paint forward, and that way I can show you. For this, we're going to create a very simple mountain range for our bottom portion of this sunset. And doing that, we're going to use our blue. So take a bit of your blue, and just everywhere that you didn't have paint, just gently go over it. Gently create those lines, nice and smooth. For simplicity's sake, I guess we could make this water and save ourselves some mixing. If you would rather have mountain range, I can also show you how to do that. For simplicity's sake, let's go ahead and say this is like the ocean. We're going to take and we're just going to keep going. Just gently covering as much area as we can. Trying to get a nice even shade of blue. And if it mixes just a bit with your yellow, that's okay. There we have it. And that looks white, but it's just wet. So now we have this nice blue. So it looks good, but it could be better. So I'm going to show you just a few small techniques that you can use to improve upon this painting. So, first and foremost, what we're going to do is we're going to create a sort of brown. So we're going to mix in some red and blue. We're going to create this really muddy looking color. Because we're mixing that in with our orange. So to get the orange, you do the red and yellow. And then we're mixing in just a bit of blue. And it gives us this muddy color. It doesn't look too pleasant on the palette. But you'll see where I'm going with this in just a second. So now that we have this muddy color, nice and icky looking, we are going to take one of our smaller brushes and we're going to create some birds. So if you have a smaller brush than this, you could preferably use that, but for this one I'm using it just for the sake of I like my edge to it. But you're going to take the thinnest brush that you can, and we're just going to scoop some of this muddy brown color looking up. And it's super simple. You're just going to create a curvy V. So let me try to get this just a little bit closer so I can show you exactly what I mean. So right here in our sky, we're going to paint a bird. We're just going to take and do a little curvy V. Just a little swoop. You can do a couple if you like, however many birds you like. The good thing about this is that every painting can really be different, no matter if you follow a tutorial or not. Everything has its own unique style. So super simple, but now we have little birds in our sky. And that's how you create birds. Say you want just a bit more. So go ahead and clean off your biggest brush in your water. Make sure you clean it really good. You swish it around. Get all that mucky paint off that we had before. And then make sure you dry that brush with your paper towel. Give it a good squeeze out before you start again. And this is going to be just a little bit more hectic per se. I'm going to show you how to create a simple cloud. So what we're going to do is, I think for this one, a nice yellowish orange cloud would look good up here in the sunset. So we're going to take a bit of our yellow, and this one you kind of just got to trust yourself with. So right here in the sky of our painting, we're just going to dab a bit of yellow. So you're going to just take your paintbrush and you're just going to just kind of frantically tap into like a circle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tap that circle out into some edges, like so. And really smooth out the edges, because clouds are nice and wispy. We're just going to keep doing that with our yellow paint. And the cloud, you want it to be you don't want it to be totally thick, but you just want it to be a little thicker, especially towards the middle, than it does whenever it kind of floats out here into the background. And we're just going to keep wisping out the edges. Ah, goodness. Every story will have its downfalls. Until I get a better tripod, this is what we're stuck with. I apologize. We're just going to keep wisping out our clouds. Once you have that nice wispy top, we're going to just smooth it out. Make it kind of cloud-like at the top. And then we're going to take our red, just a little bitty bit of red, and we're going to go right in the middle. And we're just going to create like these little lumps. Kind of like making baby clouds within the cloud. Little bitty lumps. If you need to, you can go back and get just a bit more of your yellow and kind of like even out your cloud a bit. Clouds are kind of all over the place, and a common mistake is trying to make them that cliche cloud type. But all clouds are really different, so we're just kind of like wisping out. You can use the edge of your brush to do these like follicles kind of fading away from your cloud. Create little smaller cloud droplets in the background. Just making little background clouds. You just really just dab it on there. You don't have to go back for more paint for that. You can just kind of, while you're going about this, trying to smooth it out. As you're smoothing it out, trying to create that flow, you can take and add lighter clouds that look like they're in the background by using that semi-dry paint. And you're just tapping your brush on, making a good little cloud-like shape onto the canvas. And it really blends in well. So let's try to smooth this one out just a bit more. I think I need a bit more yellow. And I'm just going to create like a little archway, little poofiness to the cloud right in the middle of it. I'm just going to let it do its job. Poof it out a bit right here. And there you have little clouds in your sky. This is a bit bright, so we're going to poof it out just a bit more. Now you have little poofy clouds in your sky. If you want to, you can go ahead and just wipe this off really quickly. It should be relatively dry. If you have too much red, go ahead and wash your brush again. But my brush is relatively clean right now. You can take a bit more of your yellow paint, and we can just create this semi-circle right here. Just an easy little half circle in the sky. And fade it down into your paint. And you have a sun. And if you feel like you need that to be just a bit lighter, you can always add more drops of yellow and just blend it in gently. Then we have ourselves a nice little sun. You can try to round it out as much as possible. We have our little sunset. So now we have our birds. We have our clouds. Let's think of some other things we can add to make this pop. So let's go back to our muddy color. Let's call it that. So let's just go back to it. Just go ahead and make a bit more of it. So grab your yellow, grab you some red, and it's a bit too red now, so let's grab some blue and just mix all that together to create that neutral tone. I think it could use a bit more red now. Looks kind of purpley, but that's okay. It's like a gray, sort of. We're going to take this and we're going to create what's called a silhouette. Usually this would be done with black paint, but I'm going to show you with our muddy paint just because I'm really trying to emphasize that you can do just about anything with just these three colors. So we're going to take our muddy paint and we're just going to create an island right in the middle of our painting. Just a simple little rock-shaped island. Just right off in the middle of our painting. You can make it kind of funky look and bring it out to the sides. Just going to create a nice little, you can get more of it, island-shaped blob. Right in the middle of that. Again, sorry for the cats. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a palm tree. So you can go ahead and clean this brush for the time being. We're not going to use it right now, but it's really good practice to just go ahead and clean your brushes because that paint could get stuck in there and make it all gunky, and that's just never a good combination. So you're going to grab a circular brush, similar to this one. And we're just going to get more of our little gunky paint, and you're just going to paint one straight line.